What's going on, YouTube? The last couple of years have been years of everything getting more and more expensive. Houses, groceries, and, of course, cars. That's why it's so rare to see new vehicles at an attainable price point of around $25,000. We have two of those vehicles today, the value-packed and all-new 2025 Kia K4 and the refreshed 2025 Honda Civic Sport. But which of these attainable compact sedans gives you the best experience for the money? Well, that's what we're about to find out. We've got a ton of things to cover in this comparison, including features, specs, and performance, but let's start off quickly by establishing the pricing. For today's comparison, we're sticking with the volume-selling trims that are one rung from the base models, and pack in the most value for the best price. We'll start with the new Kia K4, which in this case is the EX trim. It starts at under $24,000, and with destination sets at $25,540. Keeping things equivalent, we have the volume-selling Civic Sport trim. The Kia undercuts it price-wise after a few years of increases, so after destination, it rings in at a grand total of $27,800. By the way, if you want to get the best price from local dealerships and access to valuable invoice pricing info for these two models or any vehicle, we have a tool on our website to do just that. It's very helpful for shopping and can get you the best deal, so make sure to check the link in the description for more information. If you're new to our comparisons, we do them in an objective way. We've done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, and towards the end, we'll go over that price difference to evaluate value. But let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. Starting out with the exteriors, you'll see that they've gone with very different design approaches. The refreshed Civic has seen some minor updates this year that make it a bit more aggressive looking, and overall it has a more mature and sophisticated design than the K4. It, on the other hand, has gone for a bold look with their latest Kia design language. We won't be grading styling preferences, but even despite the prices, both of them have full LED lighting. The reflector LEDs on both, and neither of them have fog lamps. Heading to the sides, they once again look quite different, and for lengths, both come in as very large options for the segment. I also want to mention that both Civic and K4 can or will be able to be had in hatchback varieties as well, for those of you who prefer the look and utility. Let's move to the wheels. The EX K4 comes with nice looking 17-inch contrast alloys, while the Civic has new 18-inch contrast alloys this year. We will discuss ride quality later on in the test drive for those concerned, but moving to the rear, we have partially LED taillights on both. The Civic has more parts LED though, since it's just LED accenting on the Kia. Moving along, both mirrors are heated and have blind spot monitoring built in, a new feature that's added to Civic Sport this year. Plus, they also have each brand's entire safety suite included as standard equipment. That's a big advantage these two have over many of the competitors. And for warranties, Kia is going to take the lead. It has the longer basic and powertrain warranty, but only Honda has 1 year of complimentary maintenance. But you're probably wondering, are the cabins basic at this price point? I think you're going to be surprised at just how much you find on the insides, so let's get to that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
So approaching the sedans, you will find smart entry systems for both, with remote start built into the fobs. It's only the Honda that integrates a sensor behind the door handle to unlock. Now opening up the doors to the interiors, you'll find nicely appointed cabins for the price. Let's start by talking about the seats themselves. You'll find cloth seats on both at this price, but Civic does include some leatherette trimming on the outside edges. For adjustment, both are sticking with manual setups, and they do not have heating until you get to a higher trim. But let's get inside and into the major category of overall material quality. Here we have some differences. The Kia is using more premium soft touch plastics for the door trim, but the Civic uses a nice piano black through the dash and feels very solid when you sit inside and shut the doors. Overall, this is too close to score a point. After you start up these models, you'll see the gauges are quite different. The Honda gives you a half-digital 7-inch display for the lower trims. Meanwhile, the Kia goes all in for technology this year and is including a 12.3-inch full digital cluster plus another 4.2-inch helper display as well. That's a lot more screen size, not to mention the impressive graphics on board. Heading back to the steering wheels, both are leather wrapped and manual adjusting. Just because these are compact sedans doesn't mean you don't need good storage spots, and that's what we're talking about next. Both models give you a ton of storage for compact sedans, but the Civic brings it to a whole new level, with the center console capable of handling 13 donuts. This might be the only compact sedan to actually pass the dozen donut test. The Kia's multi-function cup holder area does give you some extra options, but overall the Civic still gives you the most places to put things. Kia does fight back though, because that front bin is equipped with an unexpected wireless phone charging pad. Moving on to the shifters, you'll find a traditional setup on both. Operation is easy, and when in reverse, you'll find standard backup cameras. They have active trajectory, as well as electronic parking brakes with brake hold systems at red lights. Now let's take a look at the climate controls, where there are actually a lot of differences and things to consider. First of all, I want to acknowledge that the Kia has a dual zone automatic setup instead of a single zone of temperature adjustment on the Honda. The bigger difference is that the Honda has all conventional controls, while the Kia has a new combination setup. The basic controls are on the dashboard, but there is also a separate 5-inch touchscreen in between the gauges and infotainment system for the rest of the controls. It's surprising to find 3 screens on a car that cost about $25,000, but overall it works well and is nice and responsive. Now let's move on to the audio systems and start off by hearing a sample. The Honda has 2 extra speakers over the Kia, and it does elevate the audio experience. Of course, if you really want to enjoy premium sound, we would recommend getting the top trims of both models, which have Bose and Harman Kardon sound systems respectively. And now we come to the infotainment systems, which are undoubtedly some of the biggest differences and things to consider. While the high-end Civics got new and improved tech for the 2025 refresh, the Sport grade is completely left out. It continues with a tiny 7-inch display that doesn't even come with the Honda Link software. That's in comparison to the K4, which includes a huge for the segment 12.3-inch display as standard, even on the most affordable trims. It has much better resolution and graphics as well. Size aside, both have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but only the Kia's new CC-NC system runs them wirelessly. Wrapping up the front of the cabins, each has manual dimming rear-view mirrors and does without a sunroof on these trims. Now let's head to the back seats and cargo areas. The new K4 has grown a lot over the previous Forte model, which has now made it one of the largest options in the segment, along with the Civic. As you can see, the leg and headroom figures are very similar, and are the kinds of numbers that only midsize sedans had a few years ago. As far as features are concerned, of course there aren't going to be many, but the Civic does have a center armrest, and the Kia has 2 USB ports. Neither of them have any air vents on these trims. The nearly midsize space trend continues as we head around to the trunks. Finally, a rival has caught up to and even passed the Civic for trunk space, although just slightly. These both offer impressive space. And keep in mind, if you need more, they do or will offer those hatchback versions I mentioned earlier. They also have spare tires underneath of the floors and folding seats. Alright, we're done with the interiors now, which means it's time to test out the performance and specs out on the road. So while both models have higher performance options, and the Civic offers a new hybrid variant as well, these affordable trims come with the base engine options. They happen to both be 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engines, making just about identical horsepower and torque figures. Expectedly, neither is going to be too exciting when it comes to overall acceleration, with about 150 horsepower, but they certainly get the job done efficiently. Alright, so there is an acceleration up to about 55 miles per hour. Obviously, we were going up a hill here and coming into a red light, so didn't quite make it to 60, but let's talk about what's under the hood again, just to refresh your memory from the spec dump. This being the Sport trim model comes with the 2-liter 4-cylinder engines, naturally aspirated. They actually don't even offer that 1.5 turbo engine that they used to anymore for 2025. This is making 150 horsepower and 133 pound-feet of torque. Alright, so that was our acceleration to 60 miles per hour. And like we said at the spec dump, you've got two different powertrains on this, but the vast majority of people and the trims they select are going to be powered by this 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. It's naturally aspirated and it makes 147 horsepower, 132 pound-feet of torque. Obviously, those are not huge numbers, and that is what we expect for this segment. Typically, vehicles are going to be lower powered in this class. That's about right in line with the Civic and Corolla as well. As we accelerated in both of them, you probably noticed that they have continuously variable transmissions, otherwise known as CVTs. They are tuned to be pretty responsive and don't have much of the rubber band feel that old CVTs used to have a few years ago. One thing worth noting is that the K4 simulates gear changes even at partial acceleration for a more traditional feel with less drone. Also keep in mind that both of them are front-wheel drive exclusive. Yeah, it's not bad. Obviously, it's not going to be what you would call fast, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
Let's also talk, of course, about the other aspect of the powertrain, which is a continuously variable transmission, or CVT. Honda has tuned this to be a nice partner with the engine. Yeah, at about half throttle, honestly, is kind of the sweet spot, because it feels just about as powerful at half throttle as it does at full throttle. Part of the thing that makes it feel responsive is the fact that Kia has done a good job of tuning the continuously variable transmission. So the partner for this is the CVT, and it's nice and responsive. As soon as you put your foot down, gets you nice power. Now, even though both models are affordable sedans, you still don't want to be riding around in a super noisy cabin all the time. That's why here at Car Confections, we always take sound level readings for all the new cars that we test. And this time we found some profound differences. The K4 scored as one of the quietest options in the class, while the Civic scored as one of the loudest options. The top trim of the Civic does have more sound deadening than the Sport, but this sound level rating proves that the Kia already includes the extra as standard even on the lower trims.
One of the other things we do in all of our reviews is get a sound level reading going 55 miles per hour to see how quiet the cabin is. So let's go ahead and get that. 60.4 decibels is what we are sitting at. 55.9 decibels is what we are sitting at in this new Kia K4 as far as our sound level reading.
Now, as far as ride quality is concerned, the K4 takes the lead a bit here. Its smaller wheels and softer suspension tune means that it takes bumps more comfortably overall than the Civic. But the Civic has a firmer suspension because it cares about driving dynamics. It has long been one of the best handling compact sedans, and that continues for 2025, with a button-down feel and quick and responsive steering.
But now let's go ahead and discuss ride quality for this K4. Now, this is one area that I've been pretty impressed with in the time that we've been able to be with this vehicle. We're about to hit a bump in the road, and that will exemplify the fact that we have quite good ride quality for this segment. I also find these cloth seats to be quite comfortable, which is something that cannot be said about a lot of things in this price point, that's for sure. The 17-inch wheels on the outside, I think, are also a good pairing with the suspension setup overall.
So as they make that U-turn, that's a good place to just talk a little bit about dynamics. I don't think it's, the biggest focus necessarily when someone chooses a vehicle like this, but I am happy to say that, Honda takes some of that core DNA to their brand, that DNA that is in the Civic Type R, for example, and it really brings it down into their more mainstream products, such as this, Civic Sport. It's just a nice handling vehicle. It has a really refined feel when you go around corners. It doesn't have much body roll. They do a great job with the steering as well. It's got a lot more heft than most of the competition. Lastly, let's get to fuel economy. While not the 50 mpgs of Civic Hybrid, both do get good fuel economy of 33 and 34 mpg combined, respectively. In our reviews and comparisons, we are also adding in reliability and resale information to give you a better picture of the overall value beyond just the original MSRP. Beginning with reliability, we developed the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that gives you a more realistic picture. Honda is one of the highest rated brands, being 13 slots above the industry average, awarding it plus 1.3 points. Kia is also above average for reliability, but to a much lesser extent, of 4 slots above average, giving it plus 0.4 points. We also put Mason's economics degree to work to develop a detailed predicted resale value tool. After 5 years and 60,000 miles, Honda has the industry highest predicted resale value of 64.79%. This compares favorably to the Kia, which comes in at 49.02%, and thus gives the Civic plus 1.5 points. Resale value is obviously important because it determines how much money you get back, but we can't forget about the price difference at the original purchase. The Civic costs $2,260 more than the K4, which is honestly very substantial given the affordable price points. To account for this about 9% difference, we will give the Kia plus 2 points. I want to emphasize that if money, reliability, or resale value matters less to you personally, feel free to disregard these points. And if you'd like to check out all our data on reliability as well as resale values and learn about our methodology, make sure to head over to carconfections.com/resale and /reliability. Buying a car is a big decision, and this is a great place to compare all the makes that you might be cross-shopping. So there you have it. Another challenger took on the Civic, and it gives customers like you guys another good option in this segment to consider. And speaking of, let's recap with the most important considerations of why it might be your personal winner. I'll begin with the Civic. Biggest consideration is that it is fun to drive. If you enjoy that, also you have better resale value and reliability ratings, and then you also have more maximum front interior storage space.
Now, the K4, on the other hand, should be your choice if you value the more premium features in the cabin, especially for this price point. You're going to get a lot more. Also, it has really impressive technology on this EX trim level, where the Civic kind of reserves the best technology for the top-end model. Additionally, you do get significantly lower pricing really compared to the Civic in almost every single trim level. So that's definitely something to keep in mind if affordability is your biggest concern. But we want to know your thoughts. Are you going to take the new Kia K4 or are you going to take the tried and true Honda Civic? Let us know your thoughts down below. Also, if you're looking to buy either one of these vehicles or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's going to be where we leave off on this comparison. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. You're also going to get more comparisons like that if you hit subscribe, and you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. You won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.